So the entire time that Joe Biden was in office, all we heard from MAGA was how that he wasn't really the president, he wasn't really the one in charge. They said Joe doesn't know where he's at, he can't even complete a sentence, he's not the one in charge. And a lot of them would say, actually, Obama's the one pulling the strings. Obama and Nancy Pelosi, they're the ones pulling the strings behind the scenes. Joe Biden don't even know where he is. They even went so far as to say that the real Joe Biden had passed away and that he was now being played by an actor. And anytime something good happened and we tried to point it out, they would say, well, that's because Donald Trump is still president. And anything good that happens is because Trump's in office. But if something bad happens, it's the fake actor Joe Biden who's being controlled by Obama and Pelosi. It was absolute bullshit, but that's what we had to hear for 4 long years. And they also accused Joe Biden of being propped up by billionaires and unelected officials. All these people are in there, they're controlling everything. He's propped up by billionaires. And now I'm going to show you a couple of clips of Donald Trump back in office, and he's standing there with Elon Musk, and Elon Musk is explaining everything that's going on while Donald Trump sits there quietly. As you watch these clips, I just want you to imagine, just picture instead of seeing Musk and Trump, just imagine seeing Biden and George Soros. And I promise you, if you look at those clips through that lens, you could hear everyone in MAGA just throwing an absolute fit. They would have lost their minds if it had been that way. But they're perfectly okay now with Elon, an unelected billionaire, calling all the shots while Trump just sits there. And here Elon is confronted about spreading the lie about $50 million being sent to Gaza for condoms. And check out his classic MAGA response. Take a look.
Mr. Musk, you said on X that an example of the fraud that you have cited was $50 million of condoms was sent to Gaza. But after fact check this, apparently Gaza in Mozambique, and the program was to protect them against HIV. So can you correct the statements? It wasn't sent to Hamas actually. It was sent to Mozambique, which makes sense why condoms was sent there.
Yeah.
And how can we make sure that all the statements that you said were correct, so we can trust what you say?
Well, first of all, some of the things that I say will be incorrect and should be corrected. So nobody's going to bat 1,000. I mean, we will make mistakes, but we'll act quickly to correct any mistakes. I'm not sure we should be sending $50 million worth of condoms to anywhere, frankly. I'm not sure that's something Americans would be really excited about. And that is really an enormous number of condoms, if you think about it. If it went to Mozambique instead of Gaza, I'm like, okay, that's not as bad, but still, why are we doing that?
So yeah, he's going to say things from time to time that are incorrect. And when he does, it should be corrected. But we saw how well that's worked out for MAGA anytime they disagree with Elon Musk. He immediately starts taking away their blue check mark. He immediately starts banning them off Twitter. It doesn't go well for anyone in MAGA that steps out of line. That's why Donald Trump sat there quietly while he said, well, we're not always going to get it corrected. When we do, it should be called out. Trump kind of looked sideways at him because that's not what Trump would have done at all. Trump would have just continued to double down and push the lie even harder. But Elon just simply tries to deflect, which is a classic MAGA move in itself. But in this next clip, what's very funny here is he gets asked about the checks and balances. How can we hold you to account? And take a look at his answer.
Says that you will identify and excuse yourself from any conflicts of interest that you may have. Does that mean that you are in effect policing yourself? What are the checks and balances that are in place to ensure that there is accountability and transparency?
Well, we actually are trying to be as transparent as possible. In fact, we post our actions to the Doge handle on X and to the Doge website. So all of our actions are maximally transparent. In fact, I don't think there's been, I don't know of a case where an organization has been more transparent than the Doge organization.
So yeah, he actually said that with a straight face. The checks and balances will be when he posts it on X. When he posts it on the platform that he owns and where he controls who gets to say what, there will be where the checks and balances are. It's absolute insanity. And then you got people like Joe Rogan sitting back and spinning it like, oh, you should be happy that Elon has your data. Yeah, he's a smart guy. He doesn't need your money. He's a billionaire that just loves and cares about you, and he's just doing it all for himself. I love how they always try to spin it this way. Like that these billionaires love us so much. They could be out on a yacht somewhere just living it up, but instead they're out there working for me and you. It's bullshit, and I'm never buying it. And I'm not going to play the clip of Joe Rogan. Instead, I'm going to play the clip here of Jasmine Crockett saying what we're always thinking. And I commend Jasmine for always being on the side of sanity. Take a look.
Now, I know that people are confused right now because for whatever reason, we had a guy that went in, and you talk about people invading our data. Listen, people said that they were upset about TikTok, but I'm upset about the guy that runs Twitter, who for sure is doing nefarious things, because I don't understand, if you are trying to conduct audits and figure out where the waste, fraud, and abuse is, I don't know why you would go to some tech guy. In fact, it was only techies that were sitting there at inauguration. We didn't have auditors. I would welcome auditors to come in and do forensic audits. In fact, he sat there in the Oval Office yesterday and he admitted that he was lying, and he was using his propaganda machine to do it when he said that we sent millions of dollars to Gaza for condoms. That was a lie. So let me tell you something.
The gentlelady's time has expired.
It's time for
the
us
gentlelady's
to do
time
our
has
jobs
expired.
and rein in this rogue actor known
The gentlelady's
as
time.
You know, she makes a really good point right there. Not only was Elon not elected to do this job, but he also has no experience at it either. That's the whole thing. I mean, if you really wanted to cut wasteful spending and you really wanted to see people get audited, why would you go and put the guy in charge that's in charge of Twitter? And he's going to hold himself accountable on a platform where he's the one that controls the narrative. This is everything that Maga ever warned us against, and they just rolled right with it. They always warned us about big tech. They always warned us about billionaires. They always said that Joe Biden was the one that wasn't really in charge. And then they sit there and they watch Trump in the Oval Office with Elon Musk. They see Musk pulling the strings, and they're perfectly okay with it. I don't have the ability to jump through these hoops like they do of the mental gymnastics. I don't have that ability. There's no way that I could stand there and preach that stuff for years like that and then sit back and watch that and be perfectly okay with it. But it reminds me of back when I was growing up. You know, my grandpa was a big-time history buff. And back when I was a kid, I really got fascinated with the gunslingers, people like, you know, Jesse and Frank James and Billy the Kid, and, you know, later on people like Bonnie and Clyde, and gangsters like Pretty Boy Floyd and Babyface Nelson. And I always loved reading books about that. And my grandfather's grandmother actually had news clippings of the James game back in the day. And I just always thought that stuff was so fascinating. But any time that someone would come up for like a local election, or even if it was a mainstream, you know, presidential election, if it was someone that my grandfather didn't trust, he would always say, we can't let them get in there. That would be like letting Jesse and Frank drive the train. Or that would be like letting Bonnie and Clyde guard the bank. And I've been thinking about that a whole lot here lately. That's what we're witnessing. We're seeing that happen in real time, and the very people that warned us against this the hardest, they're the ones that have rolled right with it. And I can't say I'm surprised, because they always find a way to roll with whatever it is that Donald Trump decides to do next. But folks, I really do appreciate everyone for all your support here on the channel. And I'm out here visiting California and having a good time. And so it's good to get away, but there's always so much news happening that it's truly hard to keep up with. So I'm just doing the best I can to grab the stories as I see them, because, man, it's just a constant news overload these days. And like we've said before here on the channel, we do believe that's on purpose and by design. They're absolutely trying to create as much chaos that we'll all take our eye off the ball and look away. We can't do that. We have to keep standing on the side that we're on, because we truly are on the right side of history. But I truly do appreciate all your support, and thanks for watching.